Have you ever had a buck that only shows up after dark continuously on your camera and it's your #1 hit lister buck? Well, that's happened to a lot of us. There are 3 things that I like to do that hopefully will give me a chance at that buck. Now let me tell you, I suggest not hunting that stand site just because it's your only option. Regardless of how many precautions you take, you'll still pressure that area, making it even harder to harvest that buck. One of my #1 rules is don't hunt a buck until he's huntable. And by that, I mean don't hunt that buck until he's showing up on camera or in your hunting area during daylight hours. Option #1, keep monitoring your trail cameras. If you're feeding or using mineral where the buck is showing up, make sure to keep it supplied. Putting a mock scrape in the area and putting buck scent in it may make the buck active to check in the scrape for an intruder buck. Put a trail camera over that scrape and monitor the buck's changes. Option #2, you can wait him out and wait for his patterns to change naturally. As a rut approaches, buck patterns change and the chances of a buck moving randomly in daylight hours are good. So anytime you can put in the stand will better your chances of seeing that buck. Option #3, go on the search. This is a technique that's worked for me pretty well, especially if I don't have the patience to wait for the rut or the rut's just too far out. This gives me an option to go ahead and pursue that buck. Research shows that the buck's range is significantly further at night than during the day. Moving your trail camera locations so you're picking him up earlier and earlier until you pick him up in daylight is one way to find his daylight travel corridor. Now this might not be possible if you're on small property and his daylight range is off your own. In that case, adding mock scrapes or feeding or improving your property to entice the buck on your property is your only choice unless you get permission on your neighboring property. Every year, the main advice I give to anybody asking for hunting tips is be adaptable. If deer patterns change, change with them. If this requires you to move stands or cameras to get on the deer, then do it. This can make that game of cat and mouse even more thrilling and hopefully help you fill a tag.